Welcome to On the Frontline, the Military Rec Show, hosted by John Prue, a veteran MWR professional with nearly 4 decades of experience. This is where we highlight the leaders, innovators, and recreation professionals working to enhance the quality of life for our military members and their families. Joining us is longtime Parks and Recreation professional Johnathan Papa J. Skinner for a Military Rec 101 conversation exploring how MWR supports service members and their families, from fitness and recreation to family programs, community connection, stress reduction, and overall quality of life. Discover why military recreation is more than just recreation. It's an essential part of supporting those who serve. This is On the Frontline, powered by the DPRS Media Network. Let's dive in.
All right, it is 13:30 on Tuesday, 28 July 2026, and you are on the front line. My name is John Prue, as the host of this weekly podcast focused on armed forces or military recreation. We talk to professionals in the industry who are in some way or have made a difference in the quality of life of our military and families. However, I will say we have a little twist on that today. All right, for all of you out there, you might be a morale, welfare, and recreation professional who directly supports quality of life for our military and families each and every day, and we thank you. Maybe you are and or have been in the military and a user of MWR programs and services at some point, and we thank you for your service. Perhaps you are a business or organization which directly supports or wants to support our armed forces recreation professionals around the globe, or you just might be a public parks and recreation professional curious about that thing called military recreation and what it's all about. Or perhaps you just don't fit into any of those categories and you just tuned in. Either way, welcome. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. Okay. Storms in the Midwest have been absolutely crazy this year. I live just north of Chicago, right across the Wisconsin border, and I'm telling you, April we got nailed with a couple big storms, tornadoes, literally a couple miles from my house hit in both April and June. Yesterday we had crazy sideways rain. You may see it in the Gulf states or around the oceans. You don't see it around the middle of the Midwest like we saw yesterday. 70-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. It was absolutely crazy. 2026 has been nuts in terms of storms and just weather around for us. And it ultimately had an impact on our show. Our scheduled guest was to be Win Kramer, a retired pyrotechnics pro who I'd worked with for years. And unfortunately, he was impacted by the storm line that kind of came through the Midwest. He lives down in Illinois and unfortunately had to cancel this late yesterday afternoon. We are going to talk fireworks. I was so excited. I think we called it Bing Bang Boom. It was all about fireworks and big events, and we will get that thing scheduled. Trust me, we will get it back on the calendar. Good to know, but him and his family are safe. They're just kind of in cleanup mode, and like I said, we will get that show scheduled. So, pivoting today, big time, first time we've had to do this, but I think it's going to be good, and it's something I kind of wanted to do. This is a little sooner than I wanted to do it, but we're going to talk military recreation 101. A lot of our audience out there And the feedback we get aren't just MWR professionals. I just rattled out who you might be in the intro, but there's quite a few people that aren't military or MWR professionals out there. It's people in public parks and recreation or other fields that just tune in and listen to us. So um, we are going to give you that kind of what is military recreation? What is that thing called military recreation? And we're going to kind of plow through that today. And I'm so excited because kind of at the last second, we got Johnathan Papa J Skinner to join me for the conversation, another DPRS media host of his own podcast, a longtime colleague in the parks and recreation world. And so super excited to have him on board. And in advance, I thank him for his efforts and willingness to jump on. Anyways, the goal here to share a deep dive into why military has quality of life programs and even a little history, along with some current career opportunities within that MWR military recreation world. Um, I give a little talk or brief, as we like to call it, to colleges and universities, and really have some good info. And I'm hoping to pass that on to all of you. And there might be a couple things you pick up on, even if you're an MWR pro out there listening. I think you might be able to pick up on a few things that we're going to cover today. So super excited for that. And again, thank you to Johnathan Skinner for his willingness to be a guest. Okay, as you know, we are part of an amazing media company called Daily Parks and Rec Show, or DPRS. DPRS Media exists to honor the park and recreation industry, reflecting on the stories, highlighting the careers, celebrating those real pros out there doing the essential work in our communities. And yes, that includes our military communities. As always, want to throw a shout out to Jovi, our producer today. She's going to try to make me and Papa J look good, like we know what we're doing, which can be a chore. But she'll be working through graphics and transitions. So again, Jovi, for what you do, thank you in advance. Want to talk about past episodes now being loaded up on YouTube channel. I think we have 27 of our this is our 31st episode. So 27 of the 31 are already up there. We have an on the Frontline playlist, but Daily Parks and Rec Show has its own channel. We'll talk a little bit about how you can subscribe to that, but check it out if you want to do it. It's a great archive of information. And our audio files are now uploaded on Spotify. And so we have a majority of those uploaded as well. So great way to consume your podcast, maybe in your car or whatever. And again, between YouTube and Spotify, creating a really good archive of information to go back to at any time. Okay, today's show sponsor, as always, is Outdoor Link. If you want to turn on your entire city on and off with a swipe of a finger on an app, this is what Outdoor Link does. Outdoor Link builds smart cities connecting your park lights, splash pads, fountains, scoreboards, bathroom door locks, or really anything that is powered by electricity into a simple app on your phone, tablet, or desktop that you can control from any location 24/7, 365 days a year. If you'd like to learn more about Outdoor Link, tune in to Smart Parks Forward Show with Dave Ramirez on the second and fourth Mondays on the DPRS network. Okay, we're going to go see a short promo from Outdoor Link and another one for something that's near and dear to my heart, JDP Services Management Consulting. But I promise we'll be right back and get on with the show. Jovi, take it away.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, we are back. As we always do, we kind of peek around what's going on in different military bases around the world. So, Jovi, if you could pull up the slide deck. All right, this first one, again, this comes through some of the social media channels from Armed Forces Recreation Network, which is part of NRPA. We've got some great social media channels, both LinkedIn and Facebook, and some really good stuff coming up on here. So this is the all Navy, or all Navy. Here I go with my Navy roots. All Army female rugby team that came out to Fort Belvoir and went to the local base library and read to the kids. So they not only talked about what they did and about the sport of rugby, but they also read to the kids at the base library. It's just very cool. Nice little cross promotion. Love to see this, and definitely something I wanted to highlight. So, cool stuff. Really liked what they're doing here. Okay, the other one, and again, kids clinics, teaching life skills. Yes, golf is a life skill. Get into the business world. You need to be able to at least swing a club here and there. But seriously, teaching a skill or at least introducing these kids to a sport they might enjoy at some point in life, whether they take it on as a child or they come back to it later in life. Fort Eustis and their MWR, FMWR department doing a little kids clinic. And I know there's a ton of them out there. This one just happened to come across the social media. So I thought I'd highlight it. And they had a lot of great pictures, to be honest. This is just a sampling here. Okay, one of the things I did want to highlight is we do have some social media changes. This all kind of came out last week after our show. I started seeing these notices. There's one from Fort Riley, but pretty much all of the FMWR Facebook pages that are out there in general social media are being tamed down. This is pretty much just in the Army right now, but they're trying to, as you can see from the Army directive, which is they're talking about, they're trying to streamline official communication, and so they're encouraging people to look at the base social media. So I would imagine MWR posts lots of stuff, and now if you are the base, and we'll just use Fort Riley as an example. Fort Riley's social media page, the entire installation or Army base is going to have a lot of MWR stuff posted. They're also saying internally for people on their Army Post app, My Army Post app, which is out there. They're trying to get more use of that. So I'm not sure what the impact is here. I'm just talking about it from a notification. I know we get a lot of Army bases. We just had two already that we pulled from on social media. I hope we don't lose our luster on our Armed Forces Recreation social media page, but I'm sure we'll see a few less posts, and certainly going to need to find our information different ways to be able to highlight it on that channel so you can kind of copy and or just be in awe of those cool programs that come through there. So anyways, just kind of notifying the Army folks, they know all about this. This is kind of a big deal to them, but for those outside of the Army, that's what's going on, and we'll see how long that actually carries on. Okay, I talked about YouTube channel. We need subscribers. So there's some really cool things we can do on YouTube live. One of the big check boxes is getting to 1,000 subscribers. We've probably put on close to 150 in the last 2 to 3 weeks with a big push from all the DPRS media staff. And here's my shameless plug to jump on, go to Daily Parks and Rec Show, subscribe down in the lower left. You can see on the Frontline has its own, all of the shows have their own little playlist, so it's easy to get to, but we kind of fall under that DPRS umbrella here. So again, shameless plug. Okay, another shameless plug. We got a couple more days left. July is Park and Recreation Month. An opportunity to really reflect and celebrate and promote. And hopefully all of you, if you're in the biz, you've been doing this already. We got a couple more days left. We, as the board of directors, I'm proud to be a member of the board of directors for NRPA, had a little fundraising pages. I mean, the money's all going to the same place. It's going to support advocacy. It's going to support the really great programs that are out there and those big time grant programs that go out to agencies all over the country. So, whether you give or not give, if you have the ability or if you are moved to give, we would certainly appreciate it. Now, here's where it's shameless. The board of directors having a little competition. So we all have our own little fundraising page. Although the money all goes to the same place, we all want to get one more dollar than the other person from that standpoint. So if you are there, you see a QR code, you can give it to me. Anybody that's on my social media channels have seen my probably posts about this where they can do a direct link to. But if you choose to give, that would be awesome if you hit my page. But the most important part is giving back and making sure every kid has a park, a quality park, hopefully within walking distance as well. That would be the goal here. So money will be well spent. And again, a couple more days before we wrap up Park and Recreation Month here in July. Okay. Jovi, you can pull the slide deck down. Let's talk to our guests today here. So, all right, let's bring in our guest, Johnathan Papa J. Skinner, recently retired recreation director from the city Elsinore, California, and now even started his own consulting company. Hopefully I get it right. Memory Makers Collective. Is that right?
That is correct. How you doing today, John?
Good. Great to have you on, Johnathan.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, just real quick. John is like my hero, one of my heroes. And so when I heard he was retiring, I said, I'm going to retire. And then I heard he had a podcast. So then I had to talk to Craig and I got a podcast. And then he started his own business. And I said, well, then I have to start my own business. So yeah, I'm following in the line of the world famous John Prue. So.
I'm pulling you down into a rabbit hole you don't want to be in. One or the other. But no, it's so cool. And you're, as I mentioned earlier, you have a DPRS podcast yourself, which you've created. I love it. I've been listening every Friday, I think at 12 noon Eastern, early for you. You're out in California. But Director Pepper Social Club. So that is, I mean, that's great. And the podcast is great. And you are so connected in the Parks and Rec industry. I'm sure you have no shortage of guests to be on your show um, coming ahead. So great. Thank you for being on. I really
Well,
appreciate that.
thank you for the opportunity. This is great. I started listening to John even before I started talking to Craig about it, and like he talked about, what's going to be the the goal today is for guys like me to find out more about military recreation. I go to NRPA, which is our National Parks and Recreation Association annual conference, and it's held throughout the country. But I meet so many military recreation people, and it's important for laymen's like myself to understand the importance of military recreation to the whole well-being of the men and women who serve our country.
That's yeah. I think I get hit up a lot from different people that just say, "Hey, I had no idea. I've heard of it, kind of know what you do, but I had no idea the depth of what that is." Not that Parks and Rec is its own hard business line too. There's stuff we don't do that I'm amazed at public parks and recreation and what they have to do or the obstacles they have to fight. But yeah, equally, it is a little different business line. But bottom line is we're all taking care of people and providing quality of life, and that's what's important for sure. So we knew each other from the conference program committee. You came on, and I think you were wearing some Dallas Cowboy shirt or hat or something, which triggered me. And I think that's how we had our first conversation at CPC, one of the mid-year meetings or something. That's what I remember.
Yeah, it was that, and there's so many different opportunities for success, as I say, with Dallas Cowboys. I think we're over in Florida, in Miami, when the original conference is going to happen there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we had got those little Adirondack chairs that we got to paint, and of course I painted Dallas Cowboys and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a diehard fan. I was actually born in Wichita Falls, Texas. My dad, who was in the Air Force, was stationed there, and so yeah, Dallas is very
I
deep.
I remember that. That was Orlando.
Hmm.
We did the early mid-year. We selected all the sessions. This is right before COVID hit. Because I was the chair that year of the CPC. So you're one of the famous people that we actually planned two conferences that year. We had all
Hmm.
the sessions picked in Orlando. We had that fun little activity that Marcia Bowen, I believe, was the one that helped us set that all up in the city of Orlando. Anyways, we came back, COVID hit, then the conference was going to be canceled, and then we had to figure out how to do a virtual conference. So
Hmm.
you're one of the proud people that can raise their hand and say, we actually planned two conferences, two educational conference sessions. So that's awesome. So you talked about your dad being in the Air Force, and so we can kind of tie it into what we're going to talk about today. You've got other family members, including your kids,
Yeah.
um, and who have been in the military. So tell us kind of your connections in and around the military.
Well, like I mentioned before, my dad was in the Air Force, retired Master Sergeant. He passed away a couple of years ago. My father-in-law actually was in the Army. He was a sergeant in the Army. Unfortunately, he passed away last year as
Oh,
well. My
sorry about that.
sister, well, thank you. My sister was in the reserves for the Air Force. She got her PhD. So there is a Dr. Skinner Martin, Valerie Dr. Skinner Martin, who very proud military background. My son actually served in the Army, and He was stationed in Texas. He stayed in Texas. So the Cowboys live on in Texas. And then
Yeah.
my son-in-law was in the Navy. And so he was up in Seattle,
Now we're
Washington
talking.
area. Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, he was Seattle, Washington. And then he got posted down here in the San Diego area, and he just retired from the military at the beginning of the year, actually. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're a military family. I growing up on the military base in Vandenberg Air Force Base, um, you know, I didn't know anything about, military recreation. I just knew recreation. I think I sent some stuff to John. My dad used to take, and I'm a big angler. I'm not the best, but you know what? The fond memories is my dad taking us on the base to do, and it was we go to Surf Beach, which you had to have your military credentials in order to go. So I do
Yeah.
ocean fishing, and he would take me lake fishing on the military base as well. And the thing about military recreation, and you're right, there's a lot of similarities, but there are differences as well. My son utilized them because he has 3 kids, and so he was able to use the day camp areas for them to go to day camp when he was
Yeah.
stationed over in Texas, um, and and so that recreational component is really key to make sure you have the holistic part of 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 a of a soldier, to make sure that they have not only the military background, but they have the family background as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but yeah, that's it's so cool. And when we talk quality of life services, we're gonna talk more about morale, welfare, and recreation, or the recreation side. But we are part of an organization. All the services are kind of built the same way. That we provide, clinical social services through that element, similar to a community. We run our dining halls or galleys or chow halls, whatever you want to call it. So there's a food and beverage component. Within the quality of life arena, there's also housing. Housing's a kind of a huge area as well, whether it's in the barracks or privatized housing, military community housing on the base or just off the base. Just so many different things. And then, of course, childcare and a variety of other things that where we take care of the military, active duty, and their families. So vitally important. And we'll get into that. So let's touch on that, Jovi. If you can pull up the deck, I'm gonna walk through here, and hey, I'm open for any questions that you might have, Johnathan, at any time. So just remember that it's a little cut off here with the banner rolling in here, but I do want to talk about this quote from famous Army General George C. Marshall. Oh, thank you for pulling the banner off. It's not enough to fight, it's the spirit we bring to the fight that decides the issue. It's morale that wins the victory. So, not going to say that quality of life programs like MWR are the key thing to winning battles or winning wars or anything, but it is a component that's recognized by our military leadership, or a tool in the toolbox for military leadership to ensure that our warfighters, and yes, that's what we call them within the Department of War, Department of Defense, and we've called them that forever. Those warfighters and their families are ready for whatever comes, and that's being mission ready. We call readiness. We use that term quite a bit, and MWR, quality of life programs, are vitally important. It's just as important, or certainly a vital component of technical training and or just being ready to fulfill the mission, whatever that mission may be. So again, that quote kind of sets the tone. We like to share that with our frontline staff. Sometimes, they think they're just working at a gym and handing out basketballs or checking in names, and no, you're part of a bigger organization that are made up of warfighters and families, and we're here to support them. So we are part of that mission as well, and we take pride in that. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today a little bit. First, you need to understand a military base. Obviously, Johnathan, you've been on a military base before, so you kind of know what it's like. I'm sure when you were a kid, you had your little, you said credentials, you had your dependent ID card, which, allowed you to get on there. So if you've never been on a military base, it is a little bit different world. But as much as it's different, it's kind of like a city in itself. So here's kind of a comparison that I'm kind of walking through on the slide. And again, for our audio folks on Spotify, I'll try to walk you through what's up here. But really, the installation commanding officer or garrison, what do they call them in the thing? I think it's garrison commander. We call them commanding officers in the Navy. Everybody has a term, but basically they're responsible for all base operations, and the bases are like cities. So it is really no different than a mayor or city manager. They're kind of the same. They're kind of the same because guess what? What are the common support services and things that a commanding officer or garrison commander would need to provide for their active duty and for the total military population on their base? It's the same as a city or community out there. So yes, they have a public works. They handle the roads and environmental and waste management, all that good stuff. We have a fire and police protection. I mean, some of that police protection is obviously active duty, but there's civilian police force on military bases. They're part of the total team, so to speak. There's civilian billets, and there's also our fire fighters or fire protection, and again, all civilian jobs within the government to support these military bases. And then, of course, emergency management, social services, health and clinical, which is part of that quality of life umbrella that I was talking about before. And then comptroller and financial management, we have those elements because we need to, you run a city, you run a military base, it costs money to do that. You need to manage those things. And then last but not least, recreation, parks, quality of life services that we provide, MWR umbrella. So have I confused you, Johnathan? Are you
No,
lost?
actually, I love the way that you put this, John, because those of us that are in regular parks, recreation, community services, this is the guideline that you look at, whether you're in a municipality or in a special district. So this is good.
Yeah. For those that haven't been on a military base, I mean, when I explain this slide, it seems to make sense, or it's a aha moment for them some way, somehow. Okay, why does the military have MWR? Some people, why do you do this on the military? We've got military that live in towns. They don't all live in housing, and they can piggyback and use those city services where they live. Yes, they can. But it is a unique. I think we've already talked about it. It's a unique population that's focused on, very specific missions, and we need to take care of them. So improving individual family readiness. When we say readiness to deploy, readiness to be warfighters, readiness to carry out whatever mission. And for the families, they need to be ready because deployments are a big deal. It's hard on everyone. Johnathan, did you guys ever go to a point where your dad had to deploy somewhere, and how did that work out for you in terms of your family?
Well, thanks to MWR and that kind of stuff. My dad used to get deployed to Johnson Island. He was into missiles, and then after he retired, he went to work for Martin Marietta. So that whole thing, and my mom also worked at the local hospital as well on base, and then when we got off the base. But yeah, that that whole support team is really important for those kids in the family to make sure that we're still able to go on as a family, even though the head of household or member is outside of, is not home because they're serving the country.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's tough, and it's not like everybody gets deployed and they're going to fight a war. I mean, we're not always in a war or conflict. Sometimes you just get deployed for training purposes, so they could be gone for months at a time, doing what they need to do for whatever their job or trade is in the services. So yeah, it can happen, and so families need to be ready, and that's part of that quality of life umbrella, which really tries to take care of everyone. You create unit cohesion and esprit de corps is another biggie. I think General George C. Marshall's comments about what wins the battles kind of attest to this bullet right here. Create unit cohesion and esprit de corps, because you need you can't be go 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 all the time. You can't be just mission driven to the point where you have no free time, nowhere to decompress. That's like any of us in any world or any job. So this idea of creating a team and being energized in different ways kind of fit in with what we do. Improving self esteem is huge. You're pulling people from all over. It's a volunteer force in the military, and you're pulling people from all over the country, sometimes gone from home for the first time, and they don't know anything. And we're running classes, we're doing different things where we're teaching them some skills, recreational skills, hopefully for life. So we are part of that in building self-esteem, and we take a lot of pride in that. Reducing stress, pretty obvious across the board when it comes to recreation. That's what we do. Not only reducing stress, but maybe improving health as well, because to me, we're in the health business when you say recreation, and whether it's military or public parks. Constructive use of leisure time, improving quality of life in general, enhancing retention. Very big one for us because we are a volunteer force. If you keep investing in all of those folks that come into boot camp and, train them and put them in for their 4 years, and they're all getting out after 4 years, which is okay. I mean, it's not for everybody, or something changes, but the goal is to get them to stay in for longer periods of time and maybe even make it a career. So, us providing great quality of life and recreational opportunities certainly help with that retention part of the military's goal. And then providing support to the families with deployed, which we talked about. So, just really cool stuff that we do, and that's why the military has MWR. We're going to talk a little bit about the history down the line. I'm going to impart that wisdom on you, Johnathan. It's probably not wisdom, but bear with me here.
No, this is great. I love this.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to seem too much like I'm lecturing here, but kind of what we're doing here is talking. So, yeah, if I say something crazy, please stop me. But
No, I think it's more of an education, John. And when I'm looking at all this, I not only think of me growing up in the military, and there was eight little Skinners. Okay, so I'm towards the younger part actually, and so all these different things that are happening that you're mentioning here was really important for all of us to be cohesive. When Tyler, my son, was doing his training, and my daughter-in-law moved to Georgia to go do training, we went for a while, and then she was there with the kids. All these things came into place when you're looking at, at the time, the girls were a year and a half old, and
yeah,
twin girls, year and a half old, and DJ, the oldest, was about 5 or so. And so all these were really important because we could only do so much here in California while they're in Georgia. And so, that's why you look at the quality of life, MWR is where doesn't take the place of, but it helps to bridge that gap of that military
Yeah.
person being gone.
Yeah, yeah, it's good, and we got more to cover. So I'm gonna let Jovi take us away. We're gonna run a couple quick promos, but we will be right back, I promise. And with Jonathan Skinner here, helping me share the goodness of MWR 101. So Jovi, take us away. I promise we'll be right back.
Not every mission happens behind a desk. Some happen in the places where our freedom is defended. This is the Frontline, where service meets reality. Readiness requires resilience, and impact is measured in people, not headlines. We talk with the men and women who support our military communities, the leaders, responders, and recreation professionals who create spaces where service members and their families can recharge, connect, and stay strong. From fitness and recreation to community programs that strengthen the total force at home and abroad, we share the stories, the challenges, and the purpose that keeps them going. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, hosted by John Prue. Real people, real stories, real service. This is where it begins.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right, we are back, and I'm going to blow Jonathan away from everything in terms of the size and scope of military recreation or MWR. Look at these stats. We are close to 300 major military bases around the world. This doesn't count all the reserve centers and some other smaller aspects. These are major military bases across all the services around the world. Almost 290 plus, depending on the definition, and every year it changes slightly by one or two. But very big place. 5.7 million potential customers. And what are those? Those are active duty, they're reservists, they're family members, they're retirees, formal military retirees. They can come back and use services on base. There's the DOD or DOW contracted employees. I was Department of Defense employee for 39 years, so I had access to all of those services as well. Quite honestly, that number is actually small because in right before COVID hit, we had released that any veteran, even if you only spent 4 years, if you had some service level disability, and it's pretty common that people walk out of the service with some level of disability. It could even be 5-10%. If you had some level of disability as a veteran, you had eligibility for some of the MWR components we'll talk about. So that number could be huge if we're talking all veterans from that standpoint. But that's the core customer, 5.7 million, 65,000 employees worldwide, supporting MWR and our child and youth services or youth programs tied in with that. And literally, it's a $4.5 billion industry if you look at it that way. So, is that big?
That's pretty darn big. While you're reading that there, and I appreciate you bringing that up too. My mom, being a
Yeah.
spouse, she's still able to utilize those
Yep.
services, and that is really key and and needed. But yeah, these numbers you look at, it's not even a city; it's many
Oh,
many cities. It's its own kind of world if you
yeah.
look at it. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Very, very crazy on how big it is, size and scope. And then, again, I'm not going to anchor on this, but just the types of operations that we run. I mean, there's, 498 fitness operations across the world, 207 community centers. I like to highlight the couple ones because we are in the recreational lodging business. So we run cabin cottages, RV campgrounds all over on military bases across the country. Matter of fact, across the world. So 191 rec lodging operations, 196 recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds. I don't even know how many spaces that would be, but a lot if you're talking 196 RV campgrounds. 64 marinas. We have 5 armed forces recreation resorts, which is a really cool feature. Um, you've got the Halikoa, which is in Hawaii. You've got some folks might know of the one in the Disney property. We have another one in Germany that's the Edelweiss Resort. Again, it's only for DoD civilians and active duty military and retirees. And it's all predicated on where their rate and rank are based on how much they pay. I mean, they're fabulous resorts. There's a lot of folks, matter of fact, I'm always bugging people within the military that don't know about these places. I'm like, you travel the world. This is the best deal in the world. So, anyways, just gives you an idea of the huge amount of programs and services that we run across DoD. Um,
Well, John, just real quick, I love how
yeah,
you said you use the word anchor being in the Navy. I
yeah,
just wanted to make sure I highlighted that. So,
can't help
but
the
down,
vocabulary. The vocabulary is just built into me.
well, down in San Diego, there's actually one that's run by the military. It's a campground that's run by the
Yeah,
military, but it's also open to the general public as well.
yeah.
So they not only serve the military, but some of them are available for the general public.
That's a great transition because we're talking about our major categories of types of programs we have, which are listed here in our category C's. Have, depending on the circumstance, can get a waiver. They got to talk to their local communities in and around them. But some of our business elements, like campgrounds and food and beverage and golf courses, if the circumstances are right and they get permission from the local communities, they can get a waiver to make them open to the public. So we do have those, and there's a mechanism in place to do that. So what we are talking about is Category A, B, and C facilities. Category A's are mission sustaining, mission critical. Those would be fitness, pools, gyms, sports, Liberty centers. We call them Liberty centers, but they're really single sailors, single soldiers, single airmen type recreation centers dedicated to those unmarried, younger, almost at risk youth, so to speak, for the military. Deployed forces. We also run libraries. Our picnic and parks program all fall under that category A. In theory, those are supposed to be paid for with taxpayer dollars. They're eligible for 100% taxpayer dollars. We never really get that, but theoretically, if we do get any taxpayer dollars, they're going to fund those programs first. Then we have our category B, which we call community support. That's child and youth programs, recreational pools like our outdoor pools, things like that. Um, Outdoor recreation rental centers and hobby shops, smaller bowling centers sometimes that are fit into recreation centers. And then we have something called information ticket and tours where we help with travel, we help with discounted tickets all around. Those operations that are category B really just subsidize. They get subsidized for some taxpayer dollars, but you're supposed to be using user fees. So theoretically, you could never get more than about 65% taxpayer dollar support. I don't know the last time we've ever seen that kind of support for our Bs. We're lucky to get our As funded. And if there's any others, then yeah, we can slide over into our Bs. But for the most part, we really need to be sensitive about user fees. But generally speaking, all of those things are very affordable and highly subsidized through other programs as well. And then our category Cs are those revenue generators. Those are our commercial operations that generate revenue. Matter of fact, they're required to generate a profit or at least break even, if not a certain percentage of profits. And those are restaurants, fast food, quick service restaurants that we operate on the base itself, larger bowling centers, movie theaters, catering and conference facilities. So we're in the hospitality world. We're running rec lodging, campgrounds, as I mentioned, marinas for those on the water. We do that as well. So just a lot of different things. You'll see amusement machines down there. Believe it or not, there is a slot machine program in the military, but it's only for the overseas bases. But obviously, that generates some money. I've always said I was in the middle of the country at Great Lakes. I always said, why can't we get slot machines here? That would fund a lot of great programs if we did that. But they said, John Prue, stop it, get in your place and go back. So
Well,
yeah,
John, this list, category B, it's so funny. My son-in-law Emery and my daughter Brianna, we celebrated Delilah's birthday, June 27th, because Tyler and Emery were in the service. We went to Disneyland, so we were able to
yeah,
get discounted tickets
yeah.
because of this program. So
One
I
one of
greatly
the
appreciate that because I didn't
yeah
have to sell a kidney in order to go.
yeah one of the most popular programs we have, and the most popular ticket is the Disney tickets that we sell. Um, We're going to talk a little bit about careers, but just giving you an idea of the types of opportunities there are within the military. Anything from a sports athletic coordinator, so those folks that are going to school for sports management, which is the popular major out there these days. Hey, we have plenty of them. We've got huge intramural programs. We've got higher level sports program. We have youth sports at our bases. Fitness coordinators of all kinds. We literally have world class fitness programs, and then you can see we have various managers in the various business lines that we talked about, whether it's golf, bowling, movie theaters, outdoor recreation specialists, child and youth program coordinators, all down to business, back of the house type positions. So lots going on with that.
So, John,
Um,
with this, they don't
yeah,
necessarily have to be in the military, right? They do
no, they're
hire.
yeah, yeah. The Air Force has some military within their organization, but that's the only real service that has any kind of active duty in there. And again, they're more at a leadership type position. Almost all of our 65,000 employees that we talked about are DoD. They're civilian employees that can choose to work wherever they want. We don't send people around. They're not forced to transfer or anything like that. It's freedom of choice. If you're close to a base, you can apply for a job, and if you get hired, you're in. Yeah. So, okay, what I'm going to do is you can pull this down for a second, Jovi. Okay, so what I do want to talk about is history. I know a lot of people ask, how did this all start? Well, a couple sessions ago, when we were talking about the 250th anniversary of our country, I was sharing that, we really started because you were lucky to get one good meal when you were fighting the Revolutionary War. Matter of fact, the Civil War. I mean, there was no three square meals or anything. We didn't, frankly, take care of our folks that were in the military early on very well. It was a different type of situation, and what happened was there was these merchants. Basically, they called them that were near army posts or wherever troops were gathered that would come up. And they literally were merchants, and they would sell anything from candies to snacks to cigarettes to sometimes alcohol. And they'd be flooded by the troops to be able to buy that. They'd be buying it with their own money, and not great, but you know what? It was a morale boost. They knew, the military leaders knew this was a big deal. In the Navy, on the water, they were called bumboats. That was kind of the nickname for them, and they did the same thing. They floated up, and they were merchants, selling all these little goodies that would distract the troops when they had the ability to do it, and it became a morale boost. The bottom line is retail became the core of morale, welfare, and recreation, or the origin, because what happened was, this wasn't a great thing. There was no formalized program early on. Sometimes they'd get kickbacks from these merchants, knowing that, hey, we made all this money because you had the troops there, and then this money would come back informally. Trust me, informally, and they could do a morale day or a picnic or whatever with the monies that they get back, or the kickbacks. Literally, this went on for over 100 years of our country before things opened up and they formalized this whole program of retail equaling dollars back to support recreation and social activities. So that's the origin. And today we still get that. We have an exchange system that was created, and that exchange system, it's APES on the Air Force Army side, and it's Navy exchange or Marine Corps exchanges on that side, and they give profits back to morale, welfare, and recreation, which then turn into recapitalization or just really cool programs. So the whole origin of MWR comes down to a bunch of people trying to sell stuff to to the troops, and then they formalize it. And now it is a source of revenue to help today. But bottom line is, once we got into World War I and II, we started to have more formal programs to pay for services. Congress started to realize that there were certain things like sports equipment and fitness opportunities that were good for our sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines. And so money started to happen. They relied heavily on those armed services, YMCA's, the USO through those wars. And then what really was happened, which is the key figure here, after World War II, President Harry Truman appointed a civilian and military committee that they all had backgrounds in quality of life programs, and basically the committee was called Religion and Welfare in Armed Forces. So they talked about a lot of different things. There was a whole religious component, but the welfare more focused on recreation. What was being done, what should be done, what should be funded. So the committee's findings shaped uh, kind of shaped what is MWR today. And one of the key topics, I don't know if you've ever heard his name, Johnathan, but Dr. Charles Brightville, one of those guys, when you look at the history of the recreation movement, was big. He was from University of Illinois, and he served as the executive director of this committee and had huge influence on not only this committee and its findings, but also the recreation movement in the United States. And ultimately, this committee put out a document and published a government report called the Free Time in Armed Forces Recreation. I just happen to have a copy of it, literally printed from the government office. It was published in February 28th, 1951, and I've read through this thing, and it is amazing how they structured that category A, B, C. They didn't use those terms, but they basically they painted the picture of how this needs to work. What should Congress fund? What are those critical elements? What should they use for the non-appropriated funds, user fees, and other sources of revenue to pay for other things? And what does this big picture look like for morale, welfare, and recreation? Literally, our current Department of Defense instruction, the 1015, was based on the findings of these folks and what they published in 1951. So I love the history. I'm fascinated by it. But there you go. You got a history lesson here today. So
I love it, and the fact that that book is from 1951, and it
yeah,
looks relatively new, John. So do
yeah.
you like read it and then put it away in a glass case, or
Sealed in a pickle jar,
there we
airtight
go.
pickle jar. It's in surprisingly good condition. So yeah, but it's very cool and it's a good read, and I share it with my fellow MWR folks every once in a while to say, look at this paragraph. They're defining exactly what we did back when this really wasn't a formalized thing. So it was really cool. One thing I do want to talk about before we get out of here is an initiative we have going on with the Academy, the American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration, and also NRPA. And it's talking about career choice. And I want to kind of go through that real quick before we wrap it up here. Um, I'm going to take the luxury of going over the hour mandate here if people are hanging on or listening. So bear with me if you can. Will you hang on?
Who, me? I'm here.
Yeah. All right. Sounds
I
good.
got my notes going right now, John.
All right. Well, hey, I'll share the deck with you as well. So. Hey, Jovi, can you bring up the deck again? All right, real quickly, there is a page out there. If you go to Career Choice and Google NRPA Career Choice, you're going to come across a page that talks about Parks and Recreation. It's a big initiative with our a committee we have on the academy, but we've folded in a lot of people into this. I was fortunate enough to get a link off of that page where we go and talk about morale, welfare, and recreation careers. We're running out of time, so we're not going to play the video that we had queued up. It's about a 5-minute video talking about Navy MWR and kind of walks you through that. But that link is available on this page, again, on the NRPA website. But very cool, not only careers in parks and recreation, which is vitally important, where are our next leaders coming from in the industry of parks and recreation, but that same challenge is for our military or MWR folks. Where are they coming from? So what we're trying to do is introduce this to even at the high school level, getting people involved and understanding that parks and recreation is a career, military recreation is a career, and start thinking about it. And yes, you could go to college and you can get a degree, or you know what? We all have jobs in our industry, parks, public parks, and military, where you can come in and work. And if you do well and maybe get a promotion, maybe get into that lower level management, maybe you could go back for your degree. Maybe that agency even helps pay for that degree and you go from there. So I think it's about looking at our careers a little differently and how you get into the career from that standpoint. But the bottom line is a lot of good effort by a lot of good people trying to do that. So if you are interested in military recreation, go to Career Choice, NRPA, and then just click on the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation careers, and you'll see a whole host of information on there. So, are you going to have a second career in MWR? How can we get you to sign up?
I don't know, because this is looking kind of cool. You know, my whole thing is I can't be in CalPERS, but in the military, I think I can do something. I can be a rec leader.
Yeah,
I think I could
there
do
you
that.
go. We will
I might
hire
have
you.
some experience of that,
I
but
know. I know some people out there that will sign you up. Trust
but
me.
I think it's great, John, and what you're doing here is showing people that, especially these young up and comers, that military recreation is an opportunity for them, and it is an option of serving, those who serve the country.
Yeah, I think there is some opportunity here, and I'm showing the screen. It has the websites on there from the various MWRs, kind of the big picture service websites. Every base has its own website, and this day and age, it's pretty easy to Google and find those. But again, here's the major services, and the big thing is if you did want to apply, and I'm going to keep poking you to apply for a job because there's plenty of bases out your way. USA Jobs is the portal for all government jobs. At times we had our own thing with MWR, non-appropriated fund site. All jobs now go into USA Jobs. If a job is posted, it shows up on USA Jobs. I did a search today, and take a guess. How many jobs were open to the public under the MWR umbrella that were regular full-time jobs, not part-time, not seasonal, full-time jobs around the world? How many jobs were out there in the MWR? Take a guess.
I would say 3,000.
Oh, wow. No, not that good. 209 full-time jobs out there. Now, if you added our seasonal, that number would grow huge, but just full-time. We had 45 jobs that were paying over $60,000 a year with benefits, pension, 401k, and don't even get me going on the benefits thing. We've got great benefits being DoD employees. We don't get paid a ton, but the benefits are great. Of the 45 that were over 60, 10 of them were over $80,000 a year, and 5 of those were over $100,000 a year, with the top job being offered right now, and again, all open to the public, starting at $149,000 a year. It was a pretty high level job, but it is open to the public and it's out there. That's just one day in the year, and we're in the middle of summer, so this isn't the high recruiting season anyway. So just to show you that if you are looking for any government job, but if you are looking for anything within MWR, child and youth programs or services, go to USA Jobs. You can find it. That was a simple search that took me about 2 minutes to do, and that's how many jobs are out there. So
That's amazing.
Have I convinced you yet to apply for a job?
John, my wife just got me used to me being retired. It's only been a month. Give me some time.
Yeah, awesome. Well, the other thing I do want to mention as we kind of wrap things up here today is the NRPA connection and Armed Forces Recreation Network. It's been around forever. Matter of fact, it's been around since as long as NRPA. It was one of the 4 founding groups that came in when NRPA started in 1965. They were called the Armed Forces Recreation Society at the time. So we've been a component and a major player in there. Today, there's over 1,700 members that are part of this Armed Forces Recreation Network throughout all the services. So we're a pretty big footprint within NRPA. And then we have those social media sites that I referenced earlier in the show to kind of keep us connected. And anybody in the business can join either of those social media networks just by, there's a simple 1 or 2 question thing. If you are at all in recreation or tied in a loose way, you can be a member of that, and that keeps us connected because we literally have people from around the world, different time zones, all sorts of places. It really does become a pretty neat way to connect with people and stay networked across the services. So, yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I've got you convinced. Yeah.
I'll explain to my wife after this. Let me see.
Yeah.
This is this is great because it shows, again, those up and comers or those who are looking at transitioning out of, quote unquote traditional recreation. Is there still a way for them to utilize their experiences to serve those who serve our country?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, hey, Johnathan, we're gonna wrap things down, and Jovi, you can take the slide down. We are before we get out of here, I do need to mention, we talked about it, your podcast, Director Pepper Social Club, very cool, love the name. I know you give a history at the start of your show, so we don't have to necessarily get into that, but it's every Friday at 12 noon Eastern, very early for you, Papa J, to get up and do that, but it's been a great show. What do you got coming up this Friday for us?
So this Friday, I'm pretty excited that, I retired from the city of Lake Elsinore, and my right-hand person that actually is the interim director right now, the acting director, Bo Davis. And I was very fortunate to hire this guy. He's another Texas guy. He's not a Dallas Cowboy fan, but he graduated from Texas A&M, and he's done some pretty incredible things over his career, and he's doing even more incredible things with the city of Lake Elsinore. So, as John said, we're on at 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. We're live. We encourage you to definitely come on, ask some questions online, and then we'll be able to answer them. And as John said, we have our channels on YouTube, so we definitely encourage people to go on, subscribe to YouTube, so we can go ahead and have it live on YouTube as well as LinkedIn and on Facebook.
That's awesome. Well, I will be tuned in. I loved your episode with Nikki, an old
Yes.
friend from the CPC. I was watching intently there. Matter of fact, I was trying to throw in little one-liners and questions while you were talking in there, but I think you guys just ignored it.
We'll do a better job next time.
Yeah.
And
sounds
Sven
good.
was on too, so.
Yeah, Sven was on. That was a good episode as well. All right, Johnathan, I really appreciate you jumping in here today, and hopefully we got you smart. We got other people smart about military recreation. We've got tons more information, and we got a lot of professionals coming up who are going to talk about elements of their career and how they're supporting quality of life. So with that, we'll be back next week, but a new time. We're starting on the hour at 1 p.m. Starting next week, but basically it's the same time, same place for another great episode. So on behalf of all of us at DPRS Media and On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, I'm John Prue, and we are out here.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.